Welcome to UC News, ucnewscanada.ca. The Canadian Crisis Response. I'm Dr. Dave. An estimated 40% of the Canadian population struggles with affordable food and shelter, unaware that the Supreme Court of Canada has an active Canadian Charter defense plan for our lives and country. Our charter, freely available for all Canadians to use, is designed to deal with any crisis, large or small, at any scale, designed to deal robustly with all threats to life, liberty, and security of the person. It defines your fundamental rights to work security, food security, and shelter, your fundamental rights to life, your pioneer rights. As Canadian ecosystems collapse, we must act boldly without fear of consequence, as the lack of action now will create dire to unsurvivable circumstances for our children. Consider the most important document in world history, the world scientists' warning to humanity, making clear the fate of this generation of Canadian kids if their parents do not act immediately on the most important issues threatening the lives of their children. Parents are legal guardians of their children, obliged to use Canada's top laws calmly and peacefully, with care and reason, in defense of the lives and future of this generation of Canadian kids. That's the law. The top minds on our planet, including every living Nobel laureate, acting as caring parents and without monetary motive, have taken great pains to lay out a critical action plan consistent with our charter, wherein Canadian parents are free to act in care to save their children from a grim future. We have an action plan filled with easy, community-based work that will immediately improve our lives and protect our future. The Canadian Supreme Court will defend you with a plan to provide security and stability, meeting essential needs reasonably and fairly, ruling that all Canadians, under all circumstances and regardless of who you are, have the right to act directly and freely on all Section 7 challenges of securing a fair and sustainable future for our children, ruling that no one can interfere with our prime directive, the Section 7 work needed to secure our core economy of essential human needs. Our common needs unify us, they do not divide. Our concerns are common, and all are addressed by equality under the law. Canadians acting as caring parents have the full authority to act on any issue, big or small, that threatens the lives and future of this generation. We are equal to politicians in our decision-making power. Under the law, we are obliged to act within reasonable limits. Canada's #1 law is placed above all others for good reason. In everything we do, we must have good reason, based on fact and evidence admissible in a court of law. And we must be reasonable, showing care and concern for others, for the basis of law is consideration of impact on others. We are obliged by law to act fairly and reasonably. We are obliged to use the Canadian Supreme Court process of decision-making. Considering the scale of our crisis, these are now life and death issues to use our money, our land, water, and natural resources fairly and sustainably in caring concern for our lives, for the basis of life, and for the future of our children. That's the law. This is Canada. When it is our duty, right, and responsibility to be sane, rational, and caring in all we choose to do, Canadians do not need to protest about the state of the world, not when we have substantial rights and freedoms to act, not when our rights and freedoms were already won in war, paid for by the blood of our parents. We must act at the scale of a world war to do the work needed to save our kids. But that's not bad. That means in a few short years we can do this. We can turn things around, save our kids. Our entire Canadian experience of mobilizing for war is contained in Canada's Constitution Act. Our Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms lets everyone act directly at any scale to face any challenge. It contains all the wisdom of our settlers and pioneers who also struggled with the urgent work needed to attain basic life security of essential human needs. Canadians care. The right to build a life for yourself and your family by the work of your own hands in caring community and in honest, fair trade relations with your neighbors is our Constitution. The right to take personal risk, the right to build shelter from the elements, the right to grow food, and the right to food, all embedded in your Section 7 Charter rights to life, liberty, and security of the person. In history, when we saw a bloody civil war erupt to the south, we chose pen over sword, to confederate peacefully over time, and to choose freedom over slavery. That's how we built our Section 1 Charter rights. When we saw religious wars tear other countries apart, we chose freedom of religion and purposely decided to create a peaceful cultural mosaic based on respect, dignity, and equality. That's how we built our Section 4 Charter rights and our Section 15 Charter rights. My fellow Canadians, do not underestimate the power of our Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, for it fully authorizes all Canadians to act freely, smartly, strategically, and in peace as protective, caring parents, fully empowered to tackle any issue. Our Charter is alive and dynamic. It has within it the dynamic strategies used by our Canadian Armed Forces to get people and materials, supplies and resources to the right place at the right time, to mobilize and unify the country around our most urgent common causes. Food, not just adequate, but healthy and nutritious, recognizing that in this world climate crisis, agriculture must shift north. In every community, we have the capacity to feed not only ourselves, but the world. By smart use of land and water, our right to self-determination. In wise energy use, we have tools we never had before. Internet access to information like never before. We stand on the cusp of going green and electric with astounding opportunities in science, medicine, lithium batteries, energy use, solar, and much more. Our kids actually have a fighting chance at life if we act wisely. Parental love is the most powerful force on this planet. Nothing can stop caring parents. And we have the full backing and support of the Canadian Supreme Court on this greatest challenge ever to face humanity, the survival of this generation of Canadian kids. We can do this. We can save our kids. We can, we will, we must.